Remember the comforting smell of a home-cooked meal that welcomed you at the door after a long day? Those dishes that brought everyone to the table, filling the room with warmth and laughter? These dinners were more than just food. They were the essence of family life, binding generations together with flavors that are hard to forget. While many of these meals have slipped out of our weekly routines, their legacy lives on in our memories, offering a glimpse into a time when every meal was an event and every dish had a story. Number 1. Spam casserole, 1950s. Spam casserole emerged in the 1950s as a convenient, budget-friendly meal, reflecting the era's post-war emphasis on quick, easy-to-make dinners. Spam, a canned meat product originally developed during World War II, became a household staple due to its long shelf life and versatility. In this dish, spam is typically diced and combined with ingredients like cooked pasta, vegetables, often peas or carrots, and a creamy sauce made from condensed soups such as cream of mushroom or celery. The casserole was baked until bubbly and golden, offering a comforting, savory dish that was both filling and easy to prepare, making it popular among busy housewives of the time. The use of condensed soups was a hallmark of 1950s cooking, adding flavor and moisture with minimal effort. Variations of spam casserole often included toppings like breadcrumbs or grated cheese for added texture and richness. Despite its humble origins, the dish remains a nostalgic favorite for many, symbolizing the ingenuity and resourcefulness of mid-century American cuisine. Number 2. Chicken Devon, 1960s. Chicken Devon is a classic American casserole that became particularly popular in the 1960s. The dish originated at the Devon Parisian restaurant in New York City's Chatham Hotel in the early 20th century. But it was during the 1960s that it gained widespread popularity in American households. The casserole typically consists of chicken, broccoli, and a rich Mornay sauce, a bechamel sauce with added cheese, usually Parmesan or Gruyere. What made Chicken Devon stand out during this time was its elegant yet accessible nature, combining the sophistication of French-inspired cuisine with the practicality of American home cooking. The dish often used leftover chicken, making it an economical choice for families. The creamy sauce, sometimes simplified with condensed cream soups like cream of mushroom or chicken, provided a comforting base that could be easily prepared and adapted. Chicken Devon was often topped with breadcrumbs or shredded cheese and baked until bubbly, resulting in a golden, crispy crust that contrasted beautifully with the tender chicken and broccoli beneath. This casserole was not only a favorite for family dinners, but also a popular dish for potlucks and gatherings, symbolizing the era's blend of convenience and culinary flair. Number 3. Mulligan Stew, 1930s. Mulligan Stew was a popular dish during the 1930s, especially among the hobo community, which grew significantly during the Great Depression. This stew was made from whatever ingredients were available, often collected by various members of a group. The stew could include a mix of meats, if available, potatoes, vegetables, and any other food items that could be scavenged or shared. This made Mulligan Stew a symbol of resourcefulness and communal survival during hard times. The preparation of Mulligan Stew often involved cooking the ingredients in a large pot over an open fire, with each person contributing what they could. The stew had no fixed recipe, and its flavor and consistency varied widely depending on the ingredients at hand. Despite its humble origins, the stew was nourishing and filling, providing warmth and sustenance during a period when food was scarce for many. Mulligan Stew not only fed the body, but also built a sense of community among those who shared it. It was common for hobos to cook and share this stew at camps known as jungles, where people gathered for food, shelter, and companionship. The dish remains a poignant reminder of the struggles and resilience of those who lived through the Great Depression. Number 4. Oxtail Soup, 1940s. Oxtail soup became a staple during the 1940s, particularly during World War II, when resourcefulness in cooking was essential due to food rationing. Oxtail, which is literally the tail of cattle, was an inexpensive cut of meat, making it an attractive option for home cooks looking to stretch their food budget. This soup is rich and hearty, requiring long, slow cooking to tenderize the tough oxtail and extract its deep flavors. The collagen in the oxtail adds a unique, gelatinous texture to the broth, creating a luxurious mouthfeel that belies its humble ingredients. Typically, the oxtail would be browned first, which not only added depth of flavor, but also helped to lock in the meat's juices. The browned oxtail was then simmered for hours with root vegetables like carrots, onions, and celery, as well as herbs and sometimes wine or vinegar to balance the richness. The result was a thick, flavorful broth that was both nourishing and satisfying. Oxtail soup was not just a way to use less popular cuts of meat. It was also a dish that brought families together around the dinner table, offering comfort during uncertain times. Number 5. Beef Stroganoff, 1960s. Beef stroganoff, a dish that gained widespread popularity in the 1960s, is a savory Russian-inspired meal that became a staple of American home cooking. The dish features tender strips of beef, typically sautéed with onions and mushrooms, and then simmered in a rich, creamy sauce made from sour cream. This combination of ingredients creates a luxurious texture and a depth of flavor that made it a favorite for both weeknight dinners and more formal gatherings. The popularity of beef stroganoff in the 1960s can be attributed to the era's growing interest in international cuisine, coupled with the convenience of new kitchen appliances and pre-packaged foods. Many home cooks used canned cream of mushroom soup to simplify the sauce preparation, making the dish quicker to prepare while still delivering a sophisticated taste. The dish was often served over egg noodles or rice, providing a complete and hearty meal that appealed to the American palate. The richness of the sauce, balanced by the tanginess of the sour cream, made beef stroganoff stand out in an era when many households were experimenting with more exotic flavors. This dish not only reflected the culinary trends of the time, but also became a comforting classic that has endured for decades. Number 6. Pork and sauerkraut, 1970s. Pork and sauerkraut was a popular dish in the 1970s, particularly among families with German or Eastern European heritage. This dish is a classic example of comfort food that combines tender pork, often in the form of a roast or ribs, with tangy sauerkraut. The dish's roots go back to traditional German cuisine, where the pairing of fatty pork with the acidity of sauerkraut creates a balanced, flavorful meal that is both hearty and satisfying. During the 1970s, this dish was often prepared for New Year's Day, as it was believed to bring good luck and prosperity for the year ahead. The pork symbolizes progress, since pigs root forward, while the sauerkraut represents wealth and abundance due to its numerous shreds, which are thought to resemble money. Cooking methods varied, but typically the pork was slow cooked with the sauerkraut, allowing the flavors to meld together over several hours. Some variations included the addition of caraway seeds, apples, or onions to enhance the flavor profile. The dish was often served with mashed potatoes or dumplings, further adding to its appeal as a filling and comforting meal that could feed a large family without breaking the bank. The simplicity of ingredients, combined with the depth of flavor, made pork and sauerkraut a beloved dish during this era. Number 7. Tamale pie, 1950s. Tamale pie, a dish that rose to popularity in the 1950s, is a classic example of Americanized Mexican cuisine that became a favorite in many households. This casserole-style dish is a hearty, flavorful blend of seasoned ground beef, or sometimes pork, corn, tomatoes, and olives, topped with a layer of cornbread or masa dough. The filling typically included spices such as chili powder, cumin, and garlic, which added a robust, savory flavor profile that appealed to American palates seeking something different yet familiar. What made tamale pie particularly popular during the 1950s was its ease of preparation and its suitability for feeding a family on a budget. The ingredients were affordable and readily available, and the dish could be assembled in one pan, making it convenient for busy homemakers. The cornbread topping, which baked to a golden crust, provided a satisfying contrast to the spiced meat filling underneath. This dish was often served at family dinners and potlucks, where its comforting, homey nature made it a crowd pleaser. Tamale pie reflects the mid-century trend of adapting and simplifying ethnic dishes to fit American tastes and kitchen practices. It also underscores the era's emphasis on convenience without sacrificing flavor or satisfaction, making it a dish that has endured in popularity for decades. Number 8. Salmon loaf, 1950s. Salmon loaf was a popular dish in the 1950s, reflecting the era's focus on economical, convenient, and nutritious meals. This dish typically used canned salmon, which was an affordable and widely available option for families looking to incorporate more protein into their diets without the higher cost of fresh fish. The loaf was usually bound together with breadcrumbs or crushed crackers, eggs, and milk, creating a firm yet tender texture. To enhance the flavor, ingredients such as chopped onions, celery, and sometimes dill or parsley were added. The mixture was then molded into a loaf shape and baked until golden brown. A key appeal of salmon loaf was its versatility. It could be served hot with a white sauce, often made from a simple bechamel with added lemon juice or dill, or served cold as a sandwich filling the next day. This dish was a favorite for its simplicity and the fact that it made use of pantry staples, which was particularly important during a time when convenience foods were becoming more integrated into daily cooking. Salmon loaf also reflected the 1950s trend of creating nutritious, family-friendly meals that were easy to prepare and could stretch to feed several people, embodying the frugal yet inventive spirit of the post-war American kitchen. Number 9. Liver loaf, 1940s. Liver loaf, a dish that gained popularity in the 1940s, was a practical and nutritious solution during a time when food rationing and resourcefulness were essential. Liver, being a rich source of iron and vitamins, was an inexpensive cut of meat, making it a staple in many households during World War II. The loaf was typically made by grinding liver, often beef or pork, and combining it with breadcrumbs, eggs, and milk to create a cohesive mixture. To enhance its flavor, finely chopped onions, garlic, and sometimes herbs like parsley were added. The mixture was then shaped into a loaf and baked, resulting in a dish that was dense, flavorful, and packed with nutrients. Liver loaf was often served with gravy or a tomato-based sauce to complement the strong flavor of the liver. This dish was particularly valued for its ability to make a small amount of liver stretch into a meal that could feed an entire family. It was also appreciated for its versatility, as it could be served hot for dinner and cold in sandwiches the next day. Despite its decline in popularity in later decades, liver loaf remains a testament to the ingenuity and frugality of 1940s home cooking. Number 10. Shrimp wiggle, 1950s. Shrimp wiggle, a popular dish in the 1950s, was a simple and economical recipe that appealed to the busy homemakers of the era. The dish typically featured canned shrimp, which was an affordable alternative to fresh seafood, and canned peas, making it a pantry-friendly meal. The base of shrimp wiggle was a creamy white sauce made from butter, flour, and milk, which served as a binding agent for the shrimp and peas. This sauce was thickened to a smooth consistency and then combined with the shrimp and peas, creating a rich and flavorful mixture. The dish was often served over toast, rice, or crackers, making it a versatile meal that could be adapted to whatever was on hand in the kitchen. The appeal of shrimp wiggle lay in its ease of preparation and the fact that it was a one-pan meal, which minimized cleanup, an important consideration for families during this period. Shrimp wiggle also reflected the 1950s trend of incorporating convenience foods into daily cooking, as it relied heavily on canned goods that were readily available in supermarkets. Despite its simplicity, the dish was both filling and satisfying, providing a quick solution for weeknight dinners that could feed the whole family. Number 11. Dinty Moor Beef Stew, 1970s. Dinty Moor Beef Stew became an iconic convenience food in the 1970s, representing the growing trend of ready-to-eat meals that fit into the busy lifestyles of American families. The brand, which had been around since the 1930s, saw a resurgence in popularity during the 70s, as more households began to rely on canned foods for quick, hearty dinners. This stew was marketed as a complete meal in a can, featuring chunks of beef, potatoes, carrots, and peas in a thick, savory gravy. One of the key appeals of Dinty Moor Beef Stew was its simplicity, requiring no preparation other than heating. This convenience made it especially popular among working parents and those who wanted to enjoy a filling, traditional meal without the time commitment of homemade stew. The stew's flavor, characterized by its rich, beefy taste and tender vegetables, was designed to mimic the comforting home-cooked stews that had been staples in American kitchens for generations. In addition to its ease of use, Dinty Moor Beef Stew was also affordable, making it accessible to a wide range of consumers. The brand capitalized on this by positioning the stew as both a budget-friendly option and a nostalgic nod to simpler times, which resonated with the era's cultural leanings towards both modernity and tradition. This combination of convenience, taste, and affordability ensured that Dinty Moor Beef Stew remained a staple in American pantries throughout the decade. Number 12. Macaroni and Tomatoes, 1930s. Macaroni and tomatoes was a simple yet satisfying dish that became popular during the 1930s, particularly during the Great Depression. This dish, made with just a few basic ingredients, was a go-to for families who needed to stretch their food budgets while still providing a filling meal. The recipe typically involved cooking elbow macaroni until tender, then combining it with canned tomatoes. The tomatoes, often stewed or diced, provided a tangy, slightly sweet flavor that complemented the pasta. To enhance the dish, many families added ingredients they had on hand, such as onions, garlic, or a bit of butter or bacon fat for richness. Salt, pepper, and sometimes a pinch of sugar were used to season the dish. Despite its simplicity, macaroni and tomatoes was comforting and could easily be made in large quantities, making it ideal for feeding a family on a tight budget. The dish also highlighted the resourcefulness of the era, as it made use of pantry staples that were inexpensive and widely available. Canned tomatoes were a particularly common ingredient, as they were cheaper than fresh produce and could be stored for long periods. Macaroni and tomatoes remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when families relied on creativity and simplicity to make the most of what they had. Number 13. Lamb and Pearl Onion Stew, 1960s. Lamb and pearl onion stew became a cherished dish in the 1960s, particularly among families that appreciated the rich flavors of slow-cooked meals. This stew is a reflection of the decade's growing interest in more refined and globally inspired cuisine, as lamb was becoming more accessible and popular in American kitchens. The dish typically involved slow-cooking pieces of lamb, which were browned first to seal in their juices and develop a deep savory flavor. Pearl onions, which are small and sweet, added a delicate yet distinct taste to the stew. These onions were often lightly sautéed before being added to the pot, where they absorbed the flavors of the lamb and the broth, becoming tender and slightly caramelized. The stew usually featured a base of beef or chicken broth, enhanced with garlic, herbs like rosemary or thyme, and sometimes a splash of red wine to add complexity to the dish. Vegetables such as carrots and potatoes were often included, making the stew a complete, hearty meal. The long, slow cooking process allowed the lamb to become tender, almost melting in the mouth, while the pearl onions provided a sweet, slightly tangy contrast to the richness of the meat. Lamb and pearl onion stew was not only delicious, but also embodied the 1960s trend of elevating home-cooked meals with sophisticated ingredients and techniques, making it a beloved dish for family dinners and special occasions alike. Number 14. Chicken paprikash, 1950s. Chicken paprikash, a dish that became popular in the 1950s, is a Hungarian-inspired recipe that brought a taste of Eastern Europe to American dinner tables. This dish is characterized by its rich and creamy sauce, which is deeply flavored with paprika, a staple spice in Hungarian cuisine. Chicken paprikash typically involves browning pieces of chicken, often drumsticks or thighs, for maximum flavor before simmering them in a sauce made from onions, garlic, and generous amounts of sweet Hungarian paprika. The sauce is enriched with chicken broth and often thickened with sour cream, which adds a tangy creaminess that balances the smoky heat of the paprika. Some variations include tomatoes or bell peppers, but the essential flavor comes from the combination of paprika and sour cream, which gives the dish its distinctive reddish hue and velvety texture. Chicken paprikash was embraced by American cooks in the 1950s as part of the era's fascination with exotic and international cuisines. It was particularly appealing because it offered a new and exciting flavor profile, while still being easy to prepare with ingredients that were becoming more widely available in supermarkets. The dish was typically served over egg noodles or dumplings, making it a hearty and satisfying meal that was perfect for family dinners. The comforting, rich flavors of chicken paprikash have helped it endure as a beloved dish in many households, reflecting the mid-century trend of incorporating global flavors into everyday cooking. Number 15. Fish sticks and tartar sauce, 1950s. Fish sticks and tartar sauce became a quintessential part of American cuisine in the 1950s, particularly as convenience foods gained popularity. Fish sticks, introduced in the early 1950s, were a product of the growing frozen food industry. These breaded and fried strips of white fish, typically cod or haddock, were easy to prepare and appealed to both children and adults. They were marketed as a quick, nutritious meal that could be prepared in minutes, making them a staple in many households during the decade. The accompanying tartar sauce, a creamy condiment made from mayonnaise, pickles, capers, and sometimes lemon juice, added a tangy flavor that complemented the crispy texture of the fish sticks. This pairing became so popular that it was often served in schools, cafeterias, and even restaurants, reflecting the broader trend of incorporating more seafood into the American diet. Fish sticks also aligned with the post-war era's focus on health and nutrition, as they were seen as a good source of protein. Additionally, their mild flavor made them an easy way to introduce fish into the diets of those who might not have been accustomed to eating seafood regularly. The ease of preparation and the appealing taste of fish sticks and tartar sauce ensured their lasting place in American culinary history, symbolizing the era's embrace of quick, convenient, and tasty meals. Number 16. Sloppy Joes, 1960s. Sloppy Joes became a staple in American households during the 1960s, embodying the era's love for quick, convenient, and satisfying meals. This dish consists of ground beef cooked in a tangy, slightly sweet tomato-based sauce, typically served on a soft hamburger bun. The origin of Sloppy Joes is somewhat debated, but by the 1960s they were a popular choice for both weeknight dinners and casual gatherings. The sauce for Sloppy Joes typically includes ingredients like ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, mustard, brown sugar, and sometimes chopped onions and green peppers. The ground beef is browned, then simmered in this sauce until it becomes thick and flavorful. The result is a savory mixture that's easy to scoop onto a bun, making it a messy but delicious meal. Hence the name Sloppy Joe. This dish was particularly appealing to busy families because it was easy to prepare and used inexpensive ingredients, making it both practical and economical. It also became a popular school lunch option, as it could be made in large batches and was well liked by children. The versatility of the Sloppy Joe allowed for variations, including the addition of cheese, barbecue sauce, or different types of meat, ensuring that it remained a favorite in American cuisine throughout the decades. Number 17, potato pancakes, 1940s. Potato pancakes, often referred to as latkes, became a popular dish in the 1940s, especially during World War II, when food rationing and frugality were paramount. These pancakes were made primarily from grated potatoes, mixed with eggs and flour, and sometimes onions for added flavor. The simplicity of the ingredients made potato pancakes an accessible and economical dish, particularly in households that needed to stretch their food supplies. The potatoes were typically grated by hand, then squeezed to remove excess moisture, which was important to ensure the pancakes had a crisp texture when fried. The mixture was then formed into small patties and fried in oil until golden brown on both sides. This frying process created a crunchy exterior while maintaining a soft, tender interior. Potato pancakes were versatile and could be served in various ways, either as a savory dish with sour cream or applesauce, or even paired with meat or fish. During the 1940s, they were often made as a meatless meal option, aligning with the wartime practice of observing meatless Mondays to conserve resources. The dish's adaptability, ease of preparation, and satisfying taste helped it remain a staple in many households during this period, embodying the resourcefulness and creativity that defined cooking in the 1940s. Number 18, corn pudding, 1950s. Corn pudding, a beloved dish from the 1950s, is a creamy and slightly sweet casserole that was often served as a side dish during family meals and holidays. This dish highlights the era's love for comfort foods that were easy to prepare and could be made with readily available ingredients. Corn pudding is made from a mixture of whole kernel corn, creamed corn, eggs, milk, sugar, and sometimes a touch of butter or flour to thicken the pudding. The ingredients are combined and baked until the mixture sets, creating a custard-like texture with a golden brown crust on top. What made corn pudding particularly appealing in the 1950s was its versatility. It could be served alongside savory dishes like roasted meats or as part of a larger holiday spread. The dish's mild sweetness complemented the savory flavors of the main course, making it a popular choice for Thanksgiving and other festive gatherings. Additionally, corn pudding could be made in advance and reheated, fitting well with the era's focus on convenience and time-saving recipes. The combination of simple ingredients, ease of preparation, and nostalgic flavors has kept corn pudding as a cherished dish in many American households. It represents the post-war era's culinary trends, where families sought to create hearty, comforting meals that could bring everyone together at the dinner table. Number 19, Eggplant Parmesan, 1970s. Eggplant Parmesan became a popular dish in American households during the 1970s, reflecting the decade's growing interest in vegetarian cuisine and the influence of Italian-American cooking. This dish consists of layers of breaded and fried eggplant slices, which are then baked with marinara sauce and melted cheese, typically mozzarella and Parmesan. The result is a rich, flavorful casserole with a satisfying combination of textures: the crispy eggplant, the gooey cheese, and the hearty tomato sauce. The appeal of eggplant parmesan in the 1970s was partly due to the increased awareness and interest in meatless meals, driven by the health food movement, and the influence of vegetarianism. Eggplant, a versatile and nutrient-rich vegetable, became a favorite alternative to meat in many dishes, and its ability to absorb flavors made it ideal for this type of preparation. The dish was not only popular in home kitchens, but also became a staple in Italian-American restaurants across the country. Its preparation allowed for creativity, with variations including the addition of herbs like basil or oregano, or even substituting different types of cheese to suit personal tastes. Eggplant parmesan also fit well with the era's focus on hearty, comforting meals that could easily serve a family or a group of friends, making it a beloved dish that has endured through the years. Number 20, chipped ham BBQ, 1940s. Chipped ham barbecue, a popular dish in the 1940s, especially in the Pittsburgh area, is a uniquely American creation that reflects the resourcefulness of the time. This dish was made using chipped ham, which is a very thinly sliced processed ham that was typically sold at deli counters. The thin slicing made it economical, as even a small amount could be used to make a substantial meal. The barbecue aspect of the dish involves simmering the chipped ham in a tangy, sweet barbecue sauce. The sauce was often made from a combination of ketchup, vinegar, brown sugar, and sometimes Worcestershire sauce or mustard, creating a rich and flavorful coating for the ham. The result was a savory sweet mixture that was typically served on soft hamburger buns, making it an easy and filling sandwich option. Chipped ham barbecue sandwiches became a staple at gatherings, picnics, and casual family dinners, known for their simplicity and the ability to feed a crowd on a budget. The dish was particularly popular in industrial areas where families needed affordable, quick meals after long workdays. This dish is a lasting favorite in the Pittsburgh region, where it's still enjoyed today as a comfort food with deep local roots. Number 21, creamed tuna on toast, 1940s. Creamed tuna on toast was a practical and popular dish during the 1940s, especially in the context of World War II. With food rationing in full effect, families often relied on canned goods like tuna, which was both inexpensive and non-perishable. The dish typically involved making a simple white sauce by whisking together butter, flour, and milk until thickened. Once the sauce reached the desired consistency, canned tuna was stirred in to create a creamy, flavorful mixture. This mixture was then served over slices of toasted bread, making for a warm, filling meal that was easy to prepare with pantry staples. The recipe's simplicity and versatility made it adaptable to what was available. Some versions included peas or hard-boiled eggs for added nutrition and texture. Creamed tuna on toast provided a satisfying meal during a time when meat was scarce, and it remained a beloved comfort food for many who grew up during this era. Number 22, mock chicken legs, 1960s. Mock chicken legs, a popular dish in the 1960s, is a nostalgic example of how home cooks created inventive meals using more affordable ingredients. Despite the name, mock chicken legs aren't made from chicken. Instead, this dish typically consisted of ground pork or veal, sometimes combined with beef, which was seasoned and shaped to resemble a drumstick. The meat mixture was often molded around a skewer or bone, breaded and then fried or baked until golden brown. The appeal of mock chicken legs lay in their ability to offer a comforting, familiar presentation while being made from less expensive cuts of meat. The dish was particularly popular in regions where traditional recipes from Central and Eastern Europe influenced local cooking, as it mimicked the appearance and taste of more costly poultry dishes without the high cost. Mock chicken legs were often served with mashed potatoes and gravy, or alongside vegetables, making for a hearty meal that fit well with the era's emphasis on frugality and resourcefulness in the kitchen. This dish is a testament to the creativity of home cooks in the 1960s, who found ways to stretch their food budgets while still providing satisfying meals for their families. Number 23, Jambalaya, 1970s. Jambalaya, a popular dish in the 1970s, especially in the southern United States, is a flavorful and hearty meal with deep roots in Creole and Cajun cuisine. This dish typically consists of rice, a variety of meats such as chicken, sausage, often andouille, and sometimes shrimp, all cooked together with a rich blend of spices and vegetables like onions, bell peppers, and celery, known as the Holy Trinity in Cajun cooking. The 1970s saw a surge in the popularity of regional American dishes as people became more interested in diverse culinary traditions across the country. Jambalaya fit perfectly into this trend, offering a taste of Louisiana's vibrant culture. It was an ideal dish for gatherings, as it could be made in large quantities and was both filling and flavorful. There are two main types of jambalaya: Creole, which includes tomatoes, and Cajun, which typically does not. The dish is cooked in one pot, making it convenient for busy households, and its versatility allowed for various adaptations depending on what ingredients were available. Jambalaya's complex flavors and adaptability made it a favorite during this era and contributed to its enduring popularity in American cuisine. Number 24, Salsbury Steak, 1960s. Salisbury steak became a popular comfort food in the 1960s, offering a hearty and affordable alternative to traditional steak dinners. This dish typically consists of ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs, onions, and seasonings, shaped into oval patties that resemble a steak. The patties are then pan-fried or baked and served with a rich brown gravy, often made from beef stock, onions, and mushrooms. The popularity of Salisbury steak in the 1960s can be attributed to its inclusion in TV dinners, which became a household staple during this era. TV dinners offered convenience, allowing busy families to enjoy a hot meal with minimal preparation. Salisbury steak was a common feature in these frozen meals, providing a taste of home-cooked comfort in a ready-to-eat format. The dish is named after Dr. James H. Salisbury, a 19th-century physician who advocated for a diet high in lean meat. While his original creation was intended as a health food, by the 1960s, Salisbury steak had evolved into a savory, gravy-laden dish that appealed to the American palate. Its affordability, ease of preparation, and satisfying taste made it a mainstay in many households during the decade. Number 25, Hungarian Goulash, 1950s. Hungarian Goulash, a beloved dish in the 1950s, is a flavorful stew with roots in Hungarian cuisine, characterized by its rich use of paprika and slow-cooked beef. During this decade, American home cooks embraced goulash as an exotic yet comforting meal, ideal for feeding a family with minimal ingredients. The dish typically includes chunks of beef, browned and then simmered slowly with onions, garlic, and a generous amount of sweet or hot Hungarian paprika, which gives the goulash its distinctive color and flavor. Potatoes and carrots are often added along with tomatoes or tomato paste, creating a hearty, thick stew. Some variations include bell peppers or even a dollop of sour cream added just before serving, which mellows out the spice and adds a creamy texture. In the 1950s, Hungarian goulash became popular in America due to the post-war fascination with international dishes and the ease of finding ingredients that could be adapted to local tastes. The dish was often served over egg noodles or with crusty bread, making it a satisfying one-pot meal that was both economical and nourishing. Its simplicity, combined with the depth of flavor, ensured its place in many American kitchens during this era.